Thursday stream here on lichess and Twitch. International Master Ponda is in Budapest. I'm here with Macro Ponda, our scrub replacement Ponda. Been with us all summer. And myself, it's Thursday game analysis stream for our subscribers. So all the subscribers were welcomed. I forgot to actually send a message, whoops, to our subscribers. Normally I do so. I did forget this week, been under a lot of pressure. Forget this week to send out the reminder message for people, but we got submissions rather, from the following players: Savadog, Yabadis. Actually, Yabadis was first. Savadog, Dragon B, good 40%, Warnaki, Asterbait Jim, Etium, Mule Skinner, and Mr. Slow. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. 50 bits. Thank you guys. Jim this week supporting us as usual, 700 bits. Hopefully we cross the 1,000 barrier. We still got Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Jim, Asterbait, Warnaki, Merle Dixon actually hit us up even before Monday. Percy Hepworth, Mr. Coffee, generous, and WJ Loof. Mr. Coffee's not only a moderator, he's donating as well. Call me when we're alive. You're almost home now. Mr. Coffee, you gotta give up your day job for this. I'm sorry, man. It's just not enough. You gotta leave in like 5 minutes to be able to quickly do my game first. I don't see a reason why not. I don't think anybody will mind. I gotta do Yabadis as well early. I thought, for some reason. Maybe not. Alright, we'll do Etium especially first. So I thought this game was kind of interesting. Some mistakes on both sides. Unfortunately, I got low on time toward the end. Alright. Let's take a look here. Greetings, everybody. Getting down to business here. Etium has to go, so we're going to do his game first. He's playing white, knight f3, d6. d6 is one of the more interesting moves against knight f3. I spent a long time trying to figure out, as black, a good way to play against solid knight f3 style players. And d6 is one of the only moves that I think kind of poses any independent variations. I tried to play a little bit of experimentally like d4, bishop g4, like Wade defense type of stuff. It's not great, but at least you get the knight f3 player into some sort of... Hodgson used to play this. Slightly off the beaten track type of system. So I think that is what I would go for here as black if I was trying for something interesting. What about knight f6? Well, I mean, knight f6 is fine, but, I think that the knight f3 players are more comfortable with that standard sort of stuff. So he plays c6. This is interesting. I have seen weird stuff from some eccentric players who try to play like queen b6 really early. But after c4, that pawn, if you play a fianchetto setup, will be a weakness. But if you play e4, it's okay. The following move is just not a move. He plays e6 here. So, I don't mind c6, but you've got to either transpose back into something normality with knight f6 or play bishop g4. Knight d7, you can always play an old Indian with a weird sort of move order, and that's about it. Or a very strange Dutch with an early c6. Okay. So e6, this is an atrocity, essentially. An atrocity for the black position. Blocking in the bishop on c8. Welcome, guys, to the stream. I'm getting underway here. Knight c3, knight f6. So the next move, I don't think really fits into this position really well. Etium plays bishop g5. I mean, it's playable, it's okay, but I really don't think that this pin has a lot of effect here, because black is going to play an old Indian type of formation anyway. Basically, bishop g5, not particularly effective. It's okay, it's playable. but I would think it's more incisive to try something else. So basically e4 would be my recommendation. Okay, so bishop g5. If d5, black can be down a tempo in the queen's gambit now. Bishop e7, and then e4. And e4 is like asking for h6, bishop h4, knight takes e4, which is a Kosich trick and a semi-Slav. This is funny now. He should try h6, because if bishop h4, you should have knight takes e4. And Dragon Kosich, my friend, who's a GM, I used to play for, maybe still plays for Montenegro, he did this to me in some form of Moscow variation. It's like bishop takes e7, knight takes c3. Bishop takes d8, knight takes d1. And this is a unique position. I mean, it looks like because of the structure, you can play bishop c7, knight takes b2, and actually white's significantly better here at the end because of this diagonal. So that seems like the best try, though, to try to justify black's position. Castles, and you played e5. Wow. This is an interesting move. It looks like you're overextending and not really developing your forces, but let me turn off the engine here. We don't have to rely on that all the time. The three-toed sloth, is that what it's called? We need fuchsia here. I just ignore the arrows. I understand it might bother you to take back. For me, they're not even there. This is really the three-toed sloth. You just made it up, but it's a perfect name. Yeah, e5 is interesting because you would be blocking in that bishop effectively at c8 again. So, okay. Take care that you're not overreaching, but I think here it's justified. Really fancy move. Wow. Man, fancy move syndrome with knight to d5. That might even be black's best move, actually. So he doesn't lose a piece, and he effectively forces the exchange of pieces with this move. I mean, it's hard to decide what white should do. I was thinking keep pieces on the board with a... Okay, yeah, like bishop d2, any sort of move. Yeah, I mean, here's another way. Just to allow one exchange of pieces, not two. And white is clearly better here. This is interesting. He could capture on g5. You might have some tactical threats against h7 at some point. So I think that both these moves are considerable. This move I'm concerned about allowing black to free his game with exchanges. Okay, we'll catch the VOD later. Bishop takes g5. It sounds like there's a bomber landing. So knight takes g5, queen takes g5, knight e4, and then knight takes d6. This actually looks strongest. There's actually analysis here from the engine, but we don't win material for white, but we do have a positional advantage based on knight takes d6. Something like this. Take back h4, h5. Well, that's also an option, but I'm more concerned about development here. I mean, you could play this, but knight e4, queen e8, yeah, just this positional edge here, here, here. I guess like it's hard to decide which way black should take here. This gives white a really strong kingside majority, and then this f4, f5. The other way blocks in his bishop, keeps his bishop kind of blocked in on c8. But I think they're both good. Instead of knight takes g5, oh, to go h4 right away. It's interesting. It's interesting. And then to play for some sort of primitive attack against h7. So the actual game was like bishop takes g5, he plays d takes e6. I don't think this helps white. It looks like it actually helps black because his bishop gets developed and it's not hemmed in. So at the end of the day, that's a big difference. The fact this bishop is here generates the development. But at the same time, he is losing a pawn. This move is horrible, though. I mean, knight e4 should be the point. You know, I thought this is the whole point, and we're going to win the pawn at d6 with a knight and just be up a pawn. Take care, Etienne. I'm a little late in saying goodbye. Queen e7. This is just analysis, right? That was best move. So this breaks the structure up. I would think that black should actually jump on the e file first off. Rook e8. That looks kind of scary. I mean, you don't have bishop e2 without dropping this pawn here. So how the heck does white continue? I'm pretty concerned at this point that white might actually be in terrible danger. Wow. This looks horrible. Yeah, queen d2. Bishop d5 check. You can actually trade queens, so all you can do is like enable yourself to be able to castle queen side. Like bishop d5 check, bishop e2, queen takes g2, castles queen side or something. I wouldn't trust white's position. So he really was lucky. I mean, this is a terrible mistake. And black plays this reactionary knight d7. Now black's just structurally better. Assuming he gets his pawn back on d6. Yeah, I mean, you have a choice here between developing your pieces or not developing your pieces. I mean, bishop d3. We're worried about losing the pawn on d4, but let's be realistic. I mean, there are more important things in life, like getting our pieces out. I vote for developing. f3 leaves the king in the center. Okay, it's not the end of the world. f3 is probably not that bad. Bishop f5. But this move is bad. He still insists on not developing his pieces. I mean, whatever. I don't care if you play bishop e2, but you've got to get your king to safety and just really... You've just got to apply the fundamentals here with white. This move is not good. You're leaving the pieces behind and you're not developing. Okay, I didn't get it at first. Now I get it. But he can play fe, rook e8, e5. Yeah, this is ridiculous. I thought the whole point is to play rook e8. At that point, white plays e5, and he stays alive. I mean, maybe black can sack a piece. Knight e5, d5, rook e5 check. King f2, rook f5 check. Smells like a draw. Maybe not. This looks kind of dangerous. Oh my god. Rook f1 check is in the air. Feels unhealthy for white. Just theoretical discussion here. I don't know if this is really tested by the computer, you know, if this will hold up. But this, for example, this variation looks toasty for white. Yeah, no, we got no development. Anyway, guys, let's see if this was sound. Black's winning here. So, yeah, this is it. Wow. It just refutes the whole thing. White has to castle now and get out. Get out while the getting is good. But he's down a pawn with a bad structure, and not a lot of fun here. Yeah, I would play principled chess. So in the game, he castled queenside. Black had made inaccuracies, and now it's chances for both sides. Too materialistic again. So we see a weakness in the lower rated players, say under 2,000. A lot of times people tend to be too clingy with material. You know, here I think rook g1. We need to be a little bit more liberal with the material. So this is a little slow. And I didn't think that was the point. I thought the point was to develop the bishop to f3. Okay, g4 is not so bad. That's pretty good too. I give you credit. Yeah, I get it now. g4 is better than I thought. So his idea was to play bishop g2. I really thought that White's idea was to defend the g2 pawn so he could play bishop e2. But all along his idea was to play g4. I like that better. So I take back my heavy criticism of rook g1. If you can trade queens, you're golden. And he wins a piece here. I mean, clearly, Black has had a bad game. It looks like he literally has to play knight to b8 now. That's bad. All right, so it's over. And once you allow a trade of queens, it's totally over. Here he lost a piece though, which is equally over. And not a bad decision. He offers to give up the piece back. That's not materialistic. Wow. Yeah, this is weird. You can play queen d3. So I think the time pressure or something. White started to panic. I mean, there's no problem here. Queen d3. Plays this. Lost his queen. White was totally winning prior to that. And that's just lost now. I guess he timed out. Yeah, okay, so he blundered his queen, but he was totally winning. Queen d3. White got low on time. Check, queen d3. Black can play on for a few more moves, but objectively he's down a bishop for nothing here. So actually this move is devastating. Bishop c6, because if you move your rook away, it's queen d8. That will end the game right away. Dempsey Hooligan, you like my teachings, thank you. I remember you. You played in our arena, you're a good player. Okay guys, sorry, that was kind of a long game. Sometimes when I do the subscriber stream, I get a little carried away on one or two games. Kind of takes me a while to find the right amount of time to spend on each game, and I either spend too much, usually too much, or not enough. Okay, so Etiem's out of the way. We're gonna do Ubatis. Actually, I lost it. Where was Ubatis? There it is. Okay, so Ubatis, another stream, another submission. Chapter 1 as usual. There are some very nice queen sack potential. Not sure about the grammatical side of that, but my opponent had to spoil all the fun. The last couple of moves are the best part of the game. When he's not learning chess, he's teaching English grammar in Denmark. Okay, Ubatis. This is chapter 1. Chapter 1. Watson Colin. Short and sweaty. Like both players were nervous. Okay, this is our friend Spectacular Camel on Twitch. Knight c3, knight c6, e4, d6, d4, g6, f4. You guys can you see the list of players right at the top there? Just next to the panda, there's the name Mestrovich Zvonimir. And this guy is deceased, but he was like the man, apparently, the expert for this system where you play like the Mexican defense. D4, knight c6, and every kind of system. They're spectacular, Camel, now. So the Mestrovich, I just call him the Mestrovich. It's interesting because Mester in Hungarian means master. And I guess it's German, maybe, too. We need a German-speaking person here to confirm. But I wonder if Mestrovich is related to Meister, right. Yeah, I'm crazy. Okay, that's close enough. Meister. All right, so bishop g7, bishop e3, knight f6. I think that we're transposing to a Pirc now, actually, Camel. You're practically playing an Austrian attack, right? Except in the Austrian attack, your knight's going to f6 first, and the other knight's coming out later. Now white's bishop on e3. Gita B. Like Dragon B. It's Gita B. Saying hi for the panda. Must be a little child who likes pandas. Hello, little child. All right. James Tarjan. What happened? I thought it said James Tarjan. No, it's James something else. Knight f3. So if this bishop is on d3 instead of the other bishop on e3, we have actually a transposition to a Austrian attack Pirc. But this is still some sort of Pirc. What I don't like about the lichess Opening Explorer is that it doesn't recognize transpositions. It just calls it what it is from, however it started. But it would be neat to teach the Opening Explorer to recognize that it's actually transposed to the Pirc defense. That would be kind of cool. Not like a technological breakthrough, but I would think we would get there eventually. All right, so Pirc defense, it's like black would usually be castled instead of knight c6 here. Well, knight c6 is a standard plan in the Austrian attack. It's old school. Castles. Okay, so it's bishop e3, kind of a modern Austrian attack. You see it coming knight to g4 with advantage. I mean, that's not always clear. You can play knight g4 and white goes bishop g1. And again, I'm not an authority, but those variations of the Pirc, they weren't really well analyzed when I started playing the Pirc in the late 80s. The Pirc for the Tournament Player was a book I had, and I studied that back in 1987. The variations of the bishop e3 weren't really worked out very well back in 1987. I don't think that knight g4 is as good as we think it is. It might even not be good at all, because at the end of the day, while the bishop can go back to g1 really without any problems, the knight's going to get kicked away with h3 at the end of the day. It's a little like when you play knight f6, knight e4 to attack the bishop on g5 in the Trompowsky. It moves away, and then your knight is just sitting there stupid, going to get hit by f3. So we gain time, but we're going to lose the time back later. So it's not clear. Bishop e3 is a sub variation. It's not the main line, but I think it's interesting. So after queen e2, you can see here, knight g4 is not the most common move, and I'm not surprised. But this isn't really the most respected way to play this for black with the knight on c6. We would normally be playing the Austrian attack Pirc in a different way. Let's go back a minute while I mull this over. Why don't we try to play, a la Asmai Parashvili or something? What would Asmai Parashvili do here? Oh, look. 1996. All right, let's insert this game here and see what the Asmai would do. Whoa, white played bishop e2. What's white to move here? White to move here, bishop. No, what position am I on? Wait a second, I'm confused. I confused myself. I thought we were following a game here, bishop e2. Yeah, but I don't want to see knight f6. I want to see without knight f6. What about e5? de5, de5, queen d8, check. Man, black lost every single game. That's a good score. 11-0. 11-0. That's ridiculous. So much for e5. It doesn't leave us with a lot of options. You could play e6, Camel. I think Camel has played moves like this before. Wow, Joel Benjamin. Joel does some weird stuff in the Pierts. This is definitely kind of dubious. Larry, Joel, and Asma all played e6 and lost. Knight h6. This is another hybrid. Trying to get the knight to g4, come in from the side, maybe some sort of f5. Alright, so Camel transposes back to Pierts. Knight f3, castles here, and then knight g4, bishop g1. Wow, another Asma Parashvili game. Tal versus Stefan Moore. One of Tal's last games, 1990. Don't worry, you didn't miss anything. One game only. Yeah, so I think that knight g4 might actually be a loss of time. What can black do? e5. Anatoly Karpov versus Larry. Didn't lose a piece in that game. Raymond Keane. Fuchsia's here. The Iberian resident. Is that the country now? They changed it to Iberia? Looks like e5 is the only alternative worthwhile. But as opposed to the other line here, this is Larry against Karpov. Before I was playing chess. F takes e5. I didn't know like what checkmate was in 1981. I was moving the chess pieces like checkers while Larry was playing this game against Karpov. Knight g4. Bishop g5 and rook d7. This is actually good, and black was okay, apparently. Raymond Keane played a lot of modern defense later. McNabb. Okay. Interesting stuff. So that's an alternative. Knight g4 looks kind of dubious, actually. Yeah, and so at the end of the day, you just get rejected off of g4, and it's not like black really gained anything. And I think this is Tal. This is Tal versus this player I never really knew of, Stefan Moore. Heard of George Moore. I don't know if they're related. D takes e5, D takes e5, and castles queenside. Wow. It just looks like a good King's Indian to me. It really looks like a good King's Indian. Bishop on g7 is dead. So we don't have a lot of dynamic counterplay. And, I mean, maybe c6 is our only hope. Somebody played c6. Hari Krishna. Not a bad player. Managed to win. The engine's claiming plus 1.3 here for white. I would vote for c6, though. I'm with Hari Krishna. Knight bd7, bishop e3, a6. I mean, a6 understandable. I was thinking maybe you could play knight e8 and try to just blockade through d6. This is an unpleasant position for black. You know, he's going to play g4, and you don't have any counterplay. I classify this position into like bad King's Indian that I don't want to play anytime soon. You know, I'll play it if I have to, but it's unpleasant. So a6, bishop d3, and b5. This is good. A chance. Some sort of chance for counterplay. Looks like c6. White, like, kind of taking all the time in the world here. But still his position looks harmonious. But this is a cool idea, c5. And again, you have knight 98, knight d6. If takes, you take with the bishop, it's no problem. Your pawns are rolling. Takes, takes. I saw this similar theme today with Spectacular Camel. In another game, white giving up the center. There's still not much counterplay, I agree. But now knight h5. You can also consider knight e8, knight c7, knight e6. I'm not that impressed, but knight h5 will slow down white on the king side. I don't know, white's position sort of, his advantage sort of evaporated. Knight h5 looks good now because it ends up taking out that knight that came to g3. And a very strong move, f4. Even stronger than knight takes g3. White was no doubt not a bad player. I guess this was an over-the-board game. I didn't realize. Queen c7, king b1, rook a d8. I don't know about this placement. Like rook c8 is another idea. I'm not sure. Rook d8 looks okay. It's a Sicilian. I don't know how it went from a Pirc to a Sicilian. Now black almost needs to move the bishop back so he can play knight to c5. In the meantime, white will start to have serious threats down the h-file. Queen here, and then we need to play rook c8. It looks like, no, this is a good move. Okay. That was a serious error. So white totally overlooked knight a4. Or maybe not. Maybe he could play queen b3, but just chickened out. But in any case, queen c3 looks like a strange choice. Look how these pieces are... I don't know. I'll just do this. Let's step away from the position for a minute and just look at the position geometrically. Like, okay, there's the white pieces, and we'll draw like a box of pieces, essentially. You know, the black pieces and the white pieces are in these boxes, right? We have the same number of pieces, but if we make like the circumference of them, look at the difference. This is a sort of concept that I don't recall anybody ever really talking about, but I call it like spacing. So in some way, like the white pieces are compressed into a little box. Here we are in a little box, and we can't leave the box, you know. And so the black pieces are just like, they have more room to breathe, and they're not getting each other's way. It's better spaced out. It's kind of subtle, but queen c3 looks like walking into knight a4. Horrible. What about this move, queen b3? I think they're looking at maybe bishop d7 repositioning and additional problems for black. The black pieces just have more room. You know, they're not getting on each other's nerves the way the white pieces are getting each other's nerves here. When there's 8 people living in like a two-room house, that's they're gonna start getting angry. Anyway, I lost my place. Queen e1, bishop b7. So queen e1, bishop b7, knight e2, rook c8. I suggested that earlier. And then knight f4, the diagonal of death. Yeah. The whole new story. I would seriously consider bishop c1 here. Clearly white is close to toast no matter what. All the black pieces all over him. Bishop d4, knight d4. Oh, you have knight takes b2. Oh no. No, that doesn't work. It almost works. I want to make this work. Damn it. Does this work? Damn it, Jerry. Unfortunately, we don't have queen c3 check, so the best we have is something like this. I don't think this is going to be enough. I want to ask the Oracle what it thinks. Yeah, there's nothing better. Camel found the best line. Okay, I mean, he's just going after the pawn here on e4. I mean, unfortunately, there's nothing better. Good game. I was just talking to Astrobate about this, Spectacular Camel. It's like it's different for everyone. For absolute beginners, you've got to be like up a queen to be comfortable and be overconfident. You know, at the 1400 level, you're like up a rook, you're confident. The 1600 level, you're up a piece, you're confident, you know. But at some point when you're 2000, 2200, you like win a pawn, like this pawn, at the master level. In this case, actually, yeah, just one pawn at the master level, you know. Spectacular Camel isn't quite master level, but I mean, he should get to that point where winning the central pawn is decisive, essentially. I'm not satisfied with one pawn, though. There's two. Now we start trading down with two pawns. I was talking to someone else today about two pawns being the point where we start trading stuff off. Rook g4, queen e5, centralizing. Perfect. Exactly what I was saying. When you're two pawns up, that would be you. Okay, so it was you I talked to about it. Okay, yeah, two pawns up, we start trading down. White rightfully doesn't want to do that. Whoa, no. This is just unfair. Sneaky. Oh no. There's mate. Guys, don't forget to remind me I have a lesson today. Usually after the stream, I'm free and I go and eat my dinner. But I usually ask Jim. Jim is here, right? Jim, don't forget to remind me. I have a lesson at 8:15 after today's stream. Okay, Spectacular Camel. The end is near. He took with the bishop one apiece here. And obviously he was threatening queen e1 and mate. Queen f2, rook f2, rook e1 mate, etc. So he just wins piece, resigns. Nice game. Dem si hooligan. Ding, 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 ding. Yes, the most popular question on our stream. Do we have a prize? Let's see if we can get you a prize. Okay, I should have just a bag of answers for this. Where is my bag of answers? Wait. Yeah, let's see. Answer number 1. This is submitted by Bob Sakamano. He says he lives in Hungary for the hot women. Something like that. I don't know. It was something like even more. It was more offensive. I think. Age of consent. That was it. Because there's a lower age of consent. That's what Bob said. Basically, the reason why I live in Hungary is because it's more affordable than the United States. In the United States, I couldn't even afford to have healthcare probably. It's just like, you know, the United States is out of control. It's crazy. I just vacation in the United States and then live in Hungary because my money goes a lot further. I have a better standard of living. But it might be something to do with age consent as well. It's possible that Bob's on something. I'm not sure. Okay, guys. Anyway, all right. So this is Ibadas out. Etienne is out. And I'm a little bit slow today. We got Save a Dog. Save Dog submitting his... No, Dragon B is next. My bad. Then Save Dog. Dragon B. B. Actually, I left the United States because of Donald Trump. That'll be like... What am I... It used to be Al-Qaeda. I was hiding from Al-Qaeda. That was in 2004. But, we have to have like a more modern reason for living in Hungary. So now I went to Europe to escape from Donald Trump. Anyway. Alright, so it's Dragon B. You're just in time for your game. I thought you were like waiting or something. You just popped up and it's time for your game. So here you are. The below is a game of mine playing with black, which I appreciate. Alright. Oh, we could... This is not the game against Asterbait. Good. Dragon B is getting 2 games analyzed today. Because Asterbait submitted his game against Dragon B. Knight c6, bishop c4, and that's actually... Speaking of Asterbait, you like bishop c4, right? Dragon B is black here. Bishop c5, d3. I want to go back just before we continue and just answer the Hungarian question seriously. I don't know if everyone's aware of this, but like I moved to Hungary because originally there was a very strong tradition of chess tournaments. That, I mean, it was one of the only places you could go in the world where I could play like in a GM round robin tournament, like virtually month, like one after another. And that's initially the main reason why I went to Hungary. So to give you guys like a serious answer on the question. D3, knight f6, castles, rook e1. There's many ways to play the white side of the Gioco Pianissimo. I'm actually in the United States now, for those of you who now think I'm in Hungary, because I'm vacationing in the United States. I'm not really, but I am here. Rook e1. Many ways to play the white side of the Gioco Piano, or Pianissimo. And most people like prefer to play like c3 very early, so the bishop has retreat back here to like b3 and c2. Is there anything wrong with white's move order? Probably not. Castles, but rook e1, this is a very rare move. I've never seen this played. I don't really understand what it does, other than just being a kind of ordinary sort of move that you make in similar positions. I mean, white doesn't have any threats. Black can't play something like knight a5 because of the e5 pawn. So Dragon B played h6, but I don't think I like h6 because this, to me, isn't necessarily a threat. It does appear, though, that it has a good score, a decent score, h6. I don't like weakening my king side without a good reason. And there are a lot of great games where master level players, let's say Morphy being the ultimate example, actually Dragon B killed people by letting them play bishop g5 and then essentially doing like h6, bishop h4, king h7, followed by like rook g8. And you're like entombing white's own bishop on g3. So I think essentially letting him play bishop g5, going h6, letting him go back to h4, playing like king h7, maybe g5. I mean, you might be able to get away with that. The Morphy plan that I remember was a game where he played like rook g8 somehow, maybe even like king h7 and rook g8. But I've seen modern games. One example that pops in my mind is the Women's World Championship match between Hu Yifan and Muzichuk, which a lot of you probably, it's a random Women's World Championship match. People don't remember it, but they actually played some games in the Gioco Piano, and I remember that being a particular theme. where, you know, if that bishop gets driven back to like h4 and g3, black can actually take over on the king side. You have to judge it carefully, though. I mean, when can you play g5 or not without white being able to do like a sacrifice or something like that? But I wouldn't be that afraid of bishop g5. Like h6, let's say d6, okay? You're threatening knight a5 now in this position, I believe. So after c3, we'll see Caruana play a5. This is Nefedov, the Nefedov system. I'm not a big fan of a5. I think it weakens the b5 square, but there seems to be this modern movement toward a5. Zen chess goes a4 and a5 on me. Yeah, a lot of people like to do that. I mean, the thing is, white can get turned out if black, you know, if they do like b4 and a4 and all that. If it ever opens up with like black does d5, white's whole queen side will be like overextended. They have to be careful. I like the a6 the best here. You know, just kind of old school. Bishop retreating back to a7. You know, all this standard stuff. But I just want to point out, I don't think that Dragon B needs to fear bishop g5. I just don't think it's a big deal. So anyways, h6, a3 instead of c3 is interesting. It's viable. I don't think there's anything wrong with this move. And this is unnecessary, I would say. Possibly not a bad move. It looks like Dragon B didn't like white playing b4. Okay, a5's not bad. If you can play it in another position after c3, you can certainly play it here. I don't think it's absolutely necessary. So again, it's the second time where I'm like kind of skeptical of pawn moves. I think, yeah, just developing another move is bishop b6. You can wait and see. All right, a5 is okay. Bishop e3, okay. So now you have very eccentric bishop a7 possibility. There's a game at 500 Master Games of Chess where this is played, except the pawn's on a6, you know. And it's also played in the Khan Sicilian sometimes. Just an aesthetic thing. I like this, you know. We're going to fight and we're going to maintain. The idea is you take on a7 with a rook. It's probably going to have to go back, but we won, you know, the battle for not giving up any ground. I mean, here we don't have bishop b6, so you have to do d6 probably. I like this too. You can allow the structure and very good kind of control of d4. However, we might have to calculate this. We have knight d4. Okay. So I think this was okay too. Obviously, you can take on e3, Dragon B. That's what you did. I don't know. You know, I'm just advocating like thinking about the different possibilities. You need to think this is a possible move. This is a possible move. And you know, even queen e7 is probably a possible move. So I don't like taking here in general, but I like it because the rook's on e1. There's a player named Karl Schlechter, and he was a famous Austrian master who died prematurely. He could have been world champion. He was a sort of specialist in structures like this, where you would take with the f pawn and then maul black along the f file. With knight h4, knight f5, rook pressuring down this line. But this is messed up because he doesn't have this as good. This isn't as good now because his rook's on the wrong square. Like Schlechter's plan was typically to like triple all the pieces down the line here. And he's going to at least have to lose one tempo to achieve that now. Any sort of double pawn that controls the center is good. So I don't think that this move, you know, is probably even as good as taking with the pawn. Let's see what the engine says. First consideration, computer likes taking with the rook. As I said, you know, if the rook's on f1, obviously there's no choice anyway, but I think the computer would like the position a lot better after f takes e3 if our rook is on f1. Okay, it's possible the Stockfish is a little too biased. Another thing is, though, this might just be a strong move, for example. Maybe we just have d5. Actually, is move 11 in the house? Because he likes this type of opening for black. Bishop takes e3, rook takes e3, d6. Very solid. Move 11 likes to play for d5, but now there's pressure on e5, so I'm not sure we can do that. c3. Now what to do? In a vacuum, I mean, you got to consider bishop e6, pawn e6, queen b3, and then we can defend both pawns. Knight g5 is covered, and even if not, we had this. Maybe something like d4. The engine likes black because of a4. It's funny. If you didn't have a4, your pawn was back on a6. Stockfish would probably say this was slightly better for white. Okay. This is a strong piece, right? What do you guys think? Strong piece, very strong piece? How do we rate it on a scale of 1 to 10? How strong is that bishop on c4? I'm seriously thinking about playing bishop e6. I would also consider king h8, but this is a very kind of easy to see what black's trying to do sort of plan. The old king h8, move the knight away and try to play for f5. We try to play 7.623 on the Richter scale. Knight h7, knight g5 suggested by UberDriver. But is it just me, or is this just a really strong piece? You know, so I think that bishop e6 is the safest move. I had a saying that I started to develop here in this stream in the last year or so, that bishop g4 pins for black are always bad in the open games, like e4, e5. It seems like this is just too important of a piece for you, because the majority of your pawns are on dark squares, if I can click on them correctly. But since most of our pawns are on dark squares, we need help controlling the white squares. What I'm saying is we don't really want to trade it off. I mean, I think that leaves white with a really dominant white square bishop that's unopposed. But we also don't want it to get pushed out to the side where it's out of play. Astrobate, I call this the short bus. The bishop gets on the short bus on the way to school, or on the long bus. This is a short bus bishop. Yeah, the bishop g4 and queen pawn games, because the structure is different. You know, it's usually like your bad bishop in the queen's gambit or something like that. So I'm skeptical of bishop g4 being like a really good plan here. I would say this piece is out of play, and it's out of a job. I like a4, but you're going to lose the pawn to bishop b5, and he missed it. Now, I like fixing this pawn on b2, and I thought about a4 as well, but it's just going to lose a pawn. So you overextended yourself there. This is the main reason why I don't like a5 in the Joko piano for black, because the square always seems to be a problem. This bishop b5 always seems to be a problem. In this case, he misses winning the pawn there, and knight f1 is okay, but obviously we'd rather win a pawn. We could even play g4. I think the white is better here. Alright, so instead of a4, what should we do? Maybe this position is the best point to ask ourselves the question, what's the best thing to do here? I mean, what's wrong with bishop e6? I think we just gave White a free move with h3. But it could be a kind of weakness as well. I also don't think this is a ridiculous move. Bishop d7. Right, but this is like basically what we looked at. Bishop takes e6, queen b3, queen c8. Actually, queen d7. This is even stronger. This is poison. Lose a queen. So, not a big deal, you know? And I think bishop h5 is probably the worst because the bishop gets out of play out there. Okay, let's see what happened. So, bishop g6, yeah. I mean, now... you're bearing down here. Knight g3. I don't know why the computer called that dubious. Black can play d5 here. Then this. Probably something like that. Alright. This move is cool. Hungarian, Romanian Grandmaster, Levante Wojda. He's a great e45 player. He would like rook a5. Loves to play rook a5. Here, rook a5 is a beautiful move. That's the best move of this game. Gotta love this move. Beautiful. It supports d5. It stops bishop b5. There may have been a famous game where Lasker did rook a5, rook c5, right? One of his most famous games. It was like a Steinitz variation of the Roy Lopez. It's in Lasker's Manual of Chess, right, Uber Driver? That's a classic game. Yeah. d4. And this is kind of a wimpy move, but maybe actually a solid choice by White. Because look here, he's got all these tactics. Dragon B has all these tactics with, like, speaking of Desperado sacrifices, trying to simplify to strategic advantage. So I think this is actually... Wow. Okay, you gotta think... I'm not gonna spend too much time on this game because I'm taking too long, but... Basically, when you play the black side of classical opening, you want to maintain your strong point. You really don't want to give up the strong point unless you have a damn good reason to give up your strong point. So when Dragon B plays e takes d, he needs a good reason to do this. You know, typically it's like about pressuring e4, maybe playing c5 to undermine the center. If you don't have a good reason, you know, White's just better. If all else is equal here, White now has a strong pawn in the center, and White is better. It's a subtle advantage, but it's lasting. Dragon B, I think, wanted to justify his rook maneuver a little bit too much. Rook e5 looks fancy. It may not be bad, but it may just be like walking into f4. Rooks are distance pieces. I think this is doing a good job at influencing the board without being in itself a target, you know. Okay, there's also the fact that he just lost his pawn on a4. That's the greater problem. But I would think just f4 would freak me out enough that I wouldn't play rook e5. This move itself. I mean, what are we going to do if White plays f5? That bishop c. I don't want that to happen to my bishop. So like rook e8 or something? Put more pressure on the central pawn. And if you can do that, I think you'll be okay. Kind of like a King's Indian. I mean, obviously we could force White to play f3. That would that would be really bad. We might have tactics with like d5. So rook e8 looks all right. I mean, this is weird. Like, white doesn't take this pawn at this point. It's sitting a second pawn on e4. So I don't really get it. Maybe first he didn't realize, but at this point, why can't we take this? If knight takes e4, you just grab a secondary pawn. What the heck was that, Mr. Coffee? All right. This looks just a pawn up. He's really getting aggressive today. Usually it was just like one time and give up. Now it's like multiple trollings. It just seems like, wow, f3, look at that diagonal. Queen b8. I mean, d5 is strong. Okay, it's not enough. Like queen b8, queen b6, you have... White has queen d4 is going to save him some positions, maybe. Still, I'm starting to like this. Another way of getting at the dark squares. But now this pawn is so strong. f3 is terrible, man. He can take on a4. He can play even f4. I would consider sacking in exchange, honestly. I mean, it's a little extreme, but no, it's something you could even consider. Probably we have to let the bishop get pushed back here. You don't think that... Actually, Bob isn't here, right? He was missing yesterday, too. I'm a little worried. I'm not 100% convinced Zamora Troll isn't Bob either. HTFP. I was fully thinking it might be. But it might be like 5 different trolls are Bob. He's just keeping us on our toes, basically. It was almost too ridiculous to be a real troll. It was like just sort of a troll filler. But f3 weakening the dark squares. But now this pawn is so strong again. So any sort of safe move here, like rook e2, you have some counterplay, but white is up a pawn at the end of the day. If you take here, I mean, this isn't that exciting either. You know, if he takes like the pawn. I'm a little worried. That pawn's loose. We're down a pawn. We have some vague counter chances, but, you know, maybe tactic, knight d5. It's not enough, though. Dragon B is fighting for a draw here. But after this move, if he goes back, a nice move. He missed the knight d5. That's crushing. What was this time control, by the way? He's got 7 minutes. White has 11 minutes. A4 is a huge weakness. Yeah, obviously. Black's losing the battle structurally. You know, obviously the bad structure over here. White's solid pawn chain on the king side. It's the only thing keeping black alive is the active pieces and the tactical threats. If he doesn't find knight d5 or whatever, you know, now he's just lost. Now he's just pushed back. Now all we have is a bad structure, and the bishop, see? Dragon B, what happens when you put your bishop on h5? You end up with this London system bishop. It's like the ultimate London system bishop, so it just gets shut out. But think about the game as stages. Bishop misplaced to g4, bishop h5. Then white gives up the center, or black gives up the center with e takes d. So the e4 pawn becomes strong. Then we end up with a bad Slav bishop. This is a Slav situation where the bishop gets stuck on g6 and it has to crawl back here. You'll have to crawl back with bishop h7, bishop g8 and get it to this diagonal to get it back in the game. You know, it's most often Slav defense problem. Finally, he found it, knight d5. It's not as strong here, though. That's a huge square. And then suddenly there's kingside threats. Rook g5 and brute force. Weakness on the dark squares. Now I like black. I mean, this is crazy. Put your bishop on f1 where it obviously, you know, dominates the knight and defends g2. Bishop e2. Very bad move. Destroying coordination between white's own pieces. Destroying coordination, you know, here. The bishop on e2 just gets in the way of white's own pieces. This is a tragedy. Queen d2, double question mark. Don't trade queens when you're, you know, going for a middle game kill, like here. This looks like he's done. If you play rook g5, white's only move seems to be king h2 or king f2, and I don't believe that that's going to survive. King h2, queen d6 is really scary. But white might have rook d1 there. You have knight d3. King h2, queen d6, threatening rook d1, knight d3. Wow. Bishop takes d3, queen takes g3 check, and the queen defends g2. Let's look at this variation. King h2, queen d6, rook d1. Here, bishop takes d3, queen takes g3 check, king g1, or king h1. And there's no way to finish white off, sadly. Something like f5 looks like it might work. Just trying to break out. Yeah, bishop on c8 would be a king's Indian. He did a great job to get his rook to g5 though, guys. It was a cool game. Okay, so queen d2 is double question mark. Here, that's a triple question mark. Dropping the, what is this? Queen e3 check. Rook d1. Oh, you have that move. I was looking at this for some reason. I thought this was the answer, but it's not. Not enough. Here white can probably play just king f1. So, I forgot. Yeah, this is a weird hallucination. Knight e2 check. Whoops. And the rook goes. That was lucky. It was a spirited game by Dragon B, though. You know, I like he was creative, but he's not quite there calculation-wise. But good kind of principled play in general. The only thing was bishop g4 I really didn't like. All right, guys, that was a long analysis. So we've got till 8 o'clock. I've got an hour and 15 minutes left. We're going to have to go a little bit faster. I'm getting stuck on these games. So next is Save Dog, Warnaki, Good 40%, Asterbait, Jim, Mule Skinner, and Mr. Slow. All right, I said Save a Dog. Save a Dog has an over-the-board game. At some point, it always seems like you want to be slow to develop the queen's bishop. It's funny, Uber driver. I learned this from a Russian master, Vladimir Rubenchik, when I was like, I don't know, 2200. Oh, actually, I was much weaker. I was probably like 2050. That whole concept that bishop doesn't need to develop is one of the most interesting. You know, it's always the queen bishop. The queen bishop really doesn't need to get out. You don't need to automatically develop the queen's bishop. So GM Igor Foigl. Well, Igor was strong enough to be a GM at some point, I think. Probably at his pinnacle. Igor actually didn't have an IM title. He was like the strongest FIDE master in the world when he moved to the United States back in like 1992. He came from Ukraine, and he was instantly like 2550 USCF. It's not a FIDE master, you know, if you're like 2550 USCF. But he just didn't get a chance to play. He was a trainer, and he never got any chances to play for GM or even IM norms. So this is a game that Save a Dog. Igor is old now. Older. I'm old too. It's all relative. But Save a Dog played Igor, and Save a Dog is white in a club tournament. I mean, Igor is like in his 70s now, so he's not quite as strong as he used to be. But he was probably close to GM strength. He was high 2400s, I think. Probably FIDE 2470. That's around my peak, but I think Igor was even stronger than me. So if Igor was like 50 points stronger than me, you know, the truth is that probably his peak FIDE rating was like 2470, but he should have been over 2500 at some point. He's low now. His USCF used to be way up in the 2500s. 2550 was like his average. And I think there's a 50 to 75 point USCF inflation. So at his peak, he was probably around 2480 FIDE. Just below Grandmaster. So c4, bishop g7, knight c3, Igor's black, g3, and it's just knight c6, bishop g2. So Igor decides to play e5 here. Botvinnik English. I never had a game with him in this opening, I don't think. It was always different stuff. I'm trying to remember. You know what's funny? If you had played c4, because sometimes he would play a setup in the English with b6, I recall. He liked to play like knight f3. How would that go? Maybe c4 first move, c4, c5, knight f3, knight f6. I can't remember. Somehow he would play b6 early. Maybe like here. cd4, knight d4, and b6. This type of system with a very early b6, which isn't so common. But anyways, knight f3, g6. He likes the modern defense. So we get a symmetrical English, which is really hard for black to play for a win, honestly. I've been playing d6, bishop f5, this kind of strange system. Yeah, he is Petrosian-like, and he can win games where there are no tactics. He's vulnerable, not vulnerable, but he's human tactically, but strategically like inhuman. So he can just kill you without taking any risk, basically. I'm not a huge fan of e5. I think it's very committal, but it is a major variation. Anyway, so for some reason e3 here gets a dubious. I guess that's normal though. You're playing, yeah, I mean you're playing like e3 here with the knight f3. Usually it goes to e2. So you confused him with e3. Alexander Ivanov would probably have your head here. But it would be different. Like Ivanov doesn't play c5, he would just play a normal. Yeah. e7. I'm wondering if black should go for a quick f5. But I don't know if black can do that. I mean, having spent time on c5. I'm just wondering if there's a way he can try to punish you for playing e3 with some very aggressive move like f5 real quick. I think it's more dangerous if black hadn't spent time on c5 though. So this is like, you're out of book because your knight's on the wrong square. So he can't draw upon his experience theoretically. Let's see. Yeah, this was weird. I don't know what came over him playing d5 here. It's just totally crazy move, allowing white to minimally equalize. If he plays d6, he's playing for f5. And we can see f5, h6, g5, f4. Your knight is on the wrong square. I mean, it's supposed to be on e2. Ironically, like all three games here, the first two, pretty strong players, all draws. But I think the black has the first break with f5 on the f-file. Usually whoever gets to that break first in this kind of closed English has the initiative. So Feudal was like impatient. I don't know why. He's getting older, you know. He just played d5. And I guess he underestimated you. cd5, knight d5, knight d5. Can you play knight takes e5 here? What about this? I mean, what is this? Knight takes c3, knight takes c6, knight takes d1, knight takes d8. Did you calculate this? Knight takes b2. I mean, where do we stop? Knight takes... What the heck is going on here? So this actually works out to black's advantage. Even the computer has a hard time with this. It thinks white's better at first. You should not play your next move without analyzing this all the way through, I don't think. I mean, I know you saw knight takes d5 was good, but you need to work this variation out. And eliminate it, you know. And once you can eliminate it, you can safely move on. But I don't think you should leave variations like this out. It ends up being good for black. Okay. So, you found the forcing move. Knight takes, queen takes. Yeah, maybe he just forgot. I don't know. 70-something years old. His only vulnerability is sometimes missing tactics. He's extremely strong strategically. But even so, it's funny, like, this is like a Botvinikian position almost. You know, you doubled his pawns, but he still has so much pressure on d3, he's fine. You know, one could even argue that knight takes d5 wasn't really that bad for black. Like, he equalized. Essentially, if he was playing a GM or something, this would have been an okay continuation. The only reason it's bad for black is because you're like lower rated and he has to play for a win. And this double pawns, again, you know, Igor, I think, if you've got to like put him into a classification, would be like Petrosian and Botvinnik school. And Botvinnik is so huge on those pawns. The double pawns in the center, so many examples of that. Talking about that with Tobias again today. So this counter pressure, it sort of it compensates for the double pawns. It's equal. So apparently this is a mistake. Yeah. Save a Dog had to play Queen A4. And E4 is an extremely ugly move. That's an advanced move where you're just willing to let the bishop get blocked in. You're going for this pawn instead. Apparently this is strong. It's going to be trade this for this. And then, yeah, I don't like our bishop on G2. But it's a King's Indian. It will get out later on. At the end of the day, if we trade this for this, C5 for D3, both sides will have a bad bishop on G7 and G2 respectively, but the structure will favor white. Like, it would be just an isolated pawn. Bob's here. Bob, did you create any new Zamora trolls today? Is that why you've been missing for the last 2 days? Racking up a whole lot of new ones for us? Good job. So kept us on our toes. That's the word on the street. B takes C, Queen C2, Bishop A6, Rook D1, Rook D8, and Igor played this well. And I'll tell you one thing, I'm sure that you completely surprised him with D4 now. I don't know whether Save a Dog is just like lucky, but I mean, well, your absence has been very suspicious, Bob. Very suspicious absence in the wake of a great active period for the trolls. I mean, this is a move that's hard to believe it's even playable. It looks like Black's just owning the D4 square, and you're going to give him this monster pass pawn. I don't think I would have even considered it, you know, because it looks like it's suicide. You're letting Black have this killer pass pawn on D4. So, the truth is, I don't know. Do we call Save a Dog like lucky? The engine says the best move is E4. That's ugly. E4 dropping D3 with tempo. Unbelievable. That's the best move for white. Right. So he plays D4. Definitely confusing the issue. And Black has this power pawn on D4. So he's better. Active. And you take. And so you take, and he takes, and you take, and materials equal. 2 bishops, 2 rooks each. Which is stronger, the central majority or the queenside majority? I was just talking about this with one of my students this week. The John Watson Modern Chess Strategy or whatever. This is almost like an example of that. It's like you'd think that Black is better here because his pawn is relevant now. And your queenside majority is relevant only later, you know. The middle game is here now. This is actually an endgame, but this pawn is here now. So you assume that Black is like clearly better. Rook C8, Bishop A4, guarding the entry point. What happens now if like Bishop E2? I guess. Fuchsia, it does look like a Grunfeld. It could have been a Grunfeld Fianchetto. It was in English. Save a Dog drew with an IM in a tournament game. My friend Igor Feugl. But Igor, you know, he naturally went into this position with Black thinking he's better, I'm sure, and he is. But what's wrong with this? What am I missing here? I just assumed this would be like really strong for Black. Maybe even Igor thought this too. Then changed his mind or something, because like Rook D2, D3, I mean, you're like, oh, it's like the monster pawn from the deep, you know? I mean, this is unbelievable that white's okay here, you know? It looks awful, but suddenly Bishop D1 and it's like all your problems are solved miraculously. This is unbelievable. The bishop on G7 is a killer. You got this pawn on the 6th rank, and then Bishop D1. Practically forces a draw. It's incredible. So I wonder if he was banking on bishop e2 and then realized, hey, wait a minute, it's not that good. So he plays d3, rook d2, and then, you know, it's just hard for black to find a way forward. I think the bishop e3 is an annoying move. Possibly it's just a draw, but White has to be very careful. Feudal's advantage is just not enough. And here he just kind of freaked out. I was expecting rook e4 or rook b4. But I think that Igor miscalculated. He gets overly ambitious. And again, he might have underestimated Save-A-Dog. He doesn't know how much training Save-A-Dog has had here. Yeah. I mean, it's a completely reasonable, like, exchange sacrifice. But at the end of the day, all it seems to do, I think that Igor missed, like, rook e1. He just missed rook e1, rook e3. Or something. Actually, I expected rook e3 here. That's not good enough, though. Is it? Here he would torture you. Actually. So you can't afford to do that, huh? Yeah, the computer says rook e3 is lost. That's messed up, man. I mean, you're up no material. No, he is up a pawn here. My bad. Okay, it is a pawn up. Okay, you can't afford to do that. Okay, no, it's a pawn up. So you had to play this. I mean, it was a good exchange sacrifice. This is a guy who like is the mix of Botvinnik and Petrosian. He sacks an exchange like Petrosian. He played the central double pawns like Botvinnik, and all of a sudden, he's just like, shit, I can't win. It's unbelievable. You know, he's just not winning. Like, where did it go? But it's not Uber Driver. This is Save-A-Dog. We expect that from Uber Driver. So Igor here got frustrated, realized he wasn't better, and offered a draw. He's old, you know. He doesn't care that much anymore about his results, but I think that if this was played 15 years ago, if he had played this 15 years ago, he would have kept playing. But his evaluation was right. Like, if you look at the Stockfish, it says like 0.1 advantage for black. So I'm certainly not going to agree to a draw here, but black also facing the threat of rook e7 is very real. You know, you have to realize that there's danger here for white. Very real, and for black, very real danger of rook e7. So I suppose like king f8, the other threat is rook e4, rook a4. If king f8, rook e4, bishop's going to have to move anyway. You have to be very careful about losing a7. I don't know. Maybe Igor just, he got overly impatient with rook takes f4. A little bit of a lazy sacrifice. Okay, good job, though, getting a draw against a strong player. Okay, guys, we have an hour left for the rest of the stream, and we've got Warnaki, good 40%, Asterbait, Jim, Yule Skinner, and Mr. Slow. So that's 6 games in 60 minutes. Let's go. Fuigl was the one, you know, I mean, he did it to himself, almost. Sometimes you try to inject life in the position, you end up, like, forcing yourself to draw. He tied for first in an open tournament with 3.5 out of 4. That's incredible. Should be a testimonial for our stream. He's 1900. What's your USCF rating, HTFP? You're 1990? Something way up in the 1900s? Did Bob donate? Yeah, so he's almost 2,000. Higher than his rating here. Okay. It's strange because I'm sure he's won a million games with D6 instead of D5. He was trying to like overthink it, you know, because Save-A-Dog put his knight on F3, it became a question, you know. It wouldn't have been an option normally. Yeah, he just like got confused. So, what am I doing, Mr. Slowhand? Mr. Slowhand submitted 2 games though. Alright, you gave me 2 ways to get it. I'll get that last. We're not doing that yet. So we've got good 40%. Okay guys, 10 minutes a game from here on out. This is a long game, so we have to be quick. Good 40%. Rapid chess. Philidor. I saw Philidor with Acerbate today. Another good move is Bishop c4. This seems to mess with people. They don't seem as well prepared for this move for some reason. The Philidor players. Especially at the lower levels. I mean, I guess master level players. This is a special transpositional line that goes into a type of Petrov. D takes c4, knight takes c4, so queen d5 is the main line. Good 40% is white here. Also bishop c4 is interesting. Guys, thank you for supporting the stream. In advance, Jim, Dragon BC, Acerbate, Warnaki, Merle Dixon, Percy Hepworth, Mr. Coffee, WJ. My friends Larry Tapper and Bill Kelleher are masters from Boston who had a million games in this position. Tapper was like a 2300 player. He played a zillion games here at Uber Driver. With Kelleher. Queen d5 was the usual. This is the usual line. Here, 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 then queen d7. It's interesting, you know. It's not that bad for black. It seems to be playable. So he takes here, but this is a new move I've never seen. There's a Hungarian name there, Antal T. Oh, okay. This is Antal Tibor Kende. That's a kid that I haven't played. A Hungarian kid I have never faced yet. Too young even for my... So I've been so inactive over the last like 3 years that I haven't really played the latest generation of Hungarian prodigies yet. I just know them by name. Most of the others for the last 15 years have all gone through. They have to pass the test of like taking me out. But Queen E2. Queen E2 looks like a good move on the surface. But all of a sudden you realize, shit. Now I'm like just kind of blocked along the A file and my bishop can't move. Oh yeah, Uber Driver, the normal line. That's Nefedov's favorite. I'm worried about Nefedov. He hasn't been around lately. And he was always such a kind of just a fixture in the stream. I hope he's back soon. I hope he's okay. Maybe he's just traveling for the summer or something. Holidays for the summer. Also, the time is hard for Nefedov, I think, because he's European. But you made me think of him with the Queen E2 Petrov. Yeah. So who is this against? Trincafortes. Very logical. Developing. It's like an open Roy Lopez now. Bob. What, he openly attends? He avidly attends and donates to Esserman? Really? Oh, okay. He likes that. I feel Hundreds of dollars? Get out of here. Now you're just lying. Anyway. Knight b3 here. Bishop e3. If I was like an accountant, I don't think he would ever donate hundreds of dollars. He's too careful with his money. a6, g3, bishop e7, bishop g2, castles, castles, bishop g4. I like good 40% creative player. Rook a4. This is our second rook a5, rook a4 of the day. Why bishop g4? Why not? I don't think it's a bad move. I mean, it just like it invokes white to weaken his king side. I don't think that it's a big deal. Like, it's not the same as the e4, e5 positions we saw before. I think that here black can safely retreat back. This is a different structure. He can probably play bishop h5, bishop g6. Induce. Induce is the word I'm looking for. All right, guys. I like this though. And white also, I mean, he just does not create weaknesses. c4 is a real serious problem. So queen d7 looks suspicious. Black should develop his pieces with knight to d7. If you have to, you should be like Alexander Kostyuk against Elianov from a game on my YouTube channel. Check out the YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. I annotated the Elianov game where Kostyuk, it was a Reti, but it was similar thing. Queen on c8. If you're going to do it, you should probably put it on c8 here. This actually is misplaced. Now you got no freaking square for your knight, you know. Kostyuk put her knight on a6 in the aforementioned game. I didn't like the way she played chess in that game, though. Rook f4. I love this. This looks great. c4. Coming to a theater near you. Bam! Bishop g5. Can somebody tell me what's going on after bishop g5? That's evil. So it's rook takes g5. Rook takes g4. Bishop g5, rook takes g4, bishop takes e3. e6. Oh my god. How does that work? I don't think it works. I just want to see this variation. Bishop g5, rook g4, bishop e3, e6. I'm thinking like e6. Does anybody understand? e6. Now this is the only move, and I was looking for some sort of miracle for white. Of course. Bishop h3. Damn, that almost works. Bishop h3. f5. It's just like one tactic after another. It's just a maelstrom of tactics. This looks to be a sound line. Oh my god. So any move wins. Wow. Is this actually like all forced? Yeah, it wins. Okay. So bishop g5 loses. b5 this is horrible. He just induced more weaknesses. Wow. This actually works here? Say what? Yeah, this is crazy. So this is just a totally speculative sacrifice. Rook takes g4. No, I mean, you know, it was almost like when you induced, like he was trying to induce you to do h3 and you didn't bite. You induced him to do g5. He's like vastly weakening his position. with g5. Even if you played like rook e4. I mean, okay, maybe this isn't good, but rook d4. Look at this. b5, g5. What? Like, white's position is so compact, and you have no weaknesses, and all your pieces are coordinated and developed, and your king is safe. How in the world can this be okay for black? g5 and b5. It's the worst open Roy Lopez ever for black. So this was just crazy speculation. Totally unnecessary, I think. And h5, he's going to h5 because of knight d4 or what? I think I like f5 better if I have to choose a square. He wanted to pin your knight. Wow. That's just evil. Just creating chaos is really good. 40% is good at creating absolute chaos. But apparently e6 is a sound move. Yeah, you have compensation. It's a really nice idea. And now this pawn is like crushing. All right. I'm going to go a little bit faster here because we're running out of time. But at this point, you can see that white has a very strong position. Even though he's down the exchange, that has very little significance here. The exchange just totally legit sacrificed now. Rook's a little awkward. What was the time control? You're down to 2 minutes. Wow. So, kind of a tactical situation now. And it's a pity you had to play bishop f1 because I was really hoping that bishop would go to d5. And this is a blunder. Miscalculation. You are white, right? I thought that black was going to play bishop takes e7 here. I mean, I would have thought that was good enough, but I guess this is okay too, right? And that's apparently only good enough for a draw. Now it's like a fortress. It should be a draw. Fortress draw. But you ended up winning. Yeah, I mean, this is actually rook d1, rook d2. So you win by time. It makes me want to do my George Alexopoulos imitation. William, I lost again by time. I don't know why I lose all games by time. I don't know, George. Maybe you're too slow. Yes, William. I'm everything too slow. It's over. Okay, guys. Three pawns. I don't want to see anymore. Good job. Good job. This should be a win. Okay, the king's a little bit scary, but this should have been a clear win. There was a point, apparently, where he actually got a lost position, or it was a draw. It was a draw at one point. You had messed it up. Oh, wow. Look at this. He had reached a draw by perpetual. Where this... My God. A very perverse sort of draw by perpetual with rook d8, and black missed it. Yeah, we did analyze Saberdog's game. That was previously on the show. So, actually, speaking of which, I'm up to Warnacki. Warnacki and Jim. Guys, we got to move fast. I got Warnacki, Jim, Mule Skinner, and Merle. Not Merle. Merle actually is missing today. Warnacki, Jim, Mule Skinner, and Mr. Slow. Played this game with white. He had Hi, I played this game with white. Had absolutely no idea what to do. After say move 10, 1 on time. Soft resignation. But all of it was strategically very uncomfortable. Whatever pointers to show how I would think about my attack are greatly appreciated. How I should think about my attack. Pointers about how I should speak. I need practice. Alright. Don't skip you. Did I skip Astrobate? No, you're next. Astrobate's next. Astrobate next, then Jim, then Mule Skinner, Mr. Slow. Okay. We got 10 minutes per game. Very verbose. I like Warnocki's written speech. Eloquent. D6. What's up here? What is this? D3? There was this guy, Robert Furo, at the Boylston Chess Club. He was like a 2000 player. He would always like play D3 on move 1 or E3. It was like really significant, insignificant, you know, to play it this early. But okay, whatever floats your boat. It shouldn't be dangerous for black, obviously. This is an extremely strange choice of square, and I think that black can probably exploit it directly by playing knight h6 here. Most people are not that incisive, but I always talk about the book Modern Chess Opening Theory by Alexei Swayton. And I think that book taught me from an early stage to try to be incisive in the opening. When white plays a weird move like this, and we have flexibility for black here, this is a spot where you don't have to be robotic in your approach. If you play knight c6 and white plays queen d2, you lose the chance to play knight h6. But if you exploit that right away, you hit the knight h6 here, you have knight f5. Yeah, and this is my favorite idea because I play, you know, I invented this opening for those of you that don't know. I call it the 3 a.m. defense. Like, takes and knight h6 with the idea of playing knight f5. It can also be played, because I'm obsessed with playing knight f5, it's a secure outpost on f5. Even if we lose the central pawn, it doesn't matter. We get a really good outpost for a knight on f5. It's a great opening. Highly recommended for like blitz. It certainly would be devastating in bullet chess. I also play knight h6 on move 1. You can use this move order as well, where you like take and play. I had a game with a guy who's like a GM now, Savely Golubov. We actually went this far with like c4 and e6, and this is all analysis, like takes, check. Anyway, I have an obsession with knight h6. Okay, I have a very good score. I played this in tournament, just 1 or 2 games though. Anyway, I'm just trying to teach you guys about being incisive. So bishop e3, knight h6. Let's see if Stockfish agrees. Come on. What's wrong with knight h6? Come on, dude. Play it. Play it. You want to play knight h6. Doesn't want to go for it. What could possibly be wrong with knight h6? Nothing. Bishop d2 is the refutation of knight h6. Bishop d2 with the idea of knight h5. Excuse me. With the idea of e3. Save a dog. Bishop d2 with the idea of knight f5. Not going into d4. This is crazy, though. I don't understand what's wrong with knight h6, but anyway, computer doesn't give a crap. All right, so bishop e3, knight f6, routine. This is logical, but I'm not sure knight g4 is a legit threat. We saw that in an earlier game today. I like your creative approach. So, taking a page from Feugl and his game with Saberdog today, it almost makes you wonder if black shouldn't try like d5. Oh no, you can't because you drop a pawn here. Oh my god. Never mind. So I'll have to play b6 first and then try to play like bishop b7 and d5. That looks like the best. Can't, so I won't. But this move is overrated. by the way, I really want to say that rook e8 is really overrated in situations where white is threatening to play like bishop h6. Oftentimes it's better just to allow it. You know, that's my experience. One good important thing here is that white has spent a move on h3, so if he wants to do some kind of primitive like h-pawn attack, he's robbed himself of an entire move if he tries to do like h4, h5, h6, or h4, h5, and h takes g. This is kind of a key idea, so I think that b6 is a far better move here for black, with the idea of bishop b7 and d5, or maybe just d5 right away. Like, what happens if you just play d5? Just say, let's just say, here, here, here. What's the big deal? I mean, this seems like you've equalized. Black is basically equalized. Anyway, just my opinion. Castle's queenside is really mental. There was this guy in the Boylston Chess Club in Boston 20 years ago, an old Russian candidate master named Rizhikovsky. And he had 2 canes, and he weighed like 280 pounds. And he was like 85 years old. It looked like it. I mean, he must have been at least 80. And he played a game against me. He lost a couple times, and then we played again, and he like beat me, and he never spoke English, but he was like, revenge! But the thing, and the reason I bring it up, because Rizhikovsky was this guy who always played the English with bishop d2 or bishop e3 and like h4, h5 and castle's queenside. This totally coffee house system. This looks crazy, you know, castle's queenside with walking into b5 here. Time for the Benko gambit, I would say. I think just a6 and b5. I'm often just playing that move no matter what, you know, automatically. And that's a story, I probably told it before, Jim, but you weren't here. He was a first word in English. He had been living in the United States for like 3 years. And literally, I beat him like twice, and the third time he beat me, he was just like, revenge! Okay, but anyway, queen a5. Queen a5, a6. This looks really good for black. Just auto b5. The king's in the wrong place. This is very similar to a game the Spectacular Camel showed me today, where he was black, actually. This attack is just too slow. Black's attack is faster. It's really funny. Move 11, what's up? I'd be happier if the pawn was on h4. We'd have some real threats there, actually. The cane, we called him the cane man, because he had not 1 but 2 canes. And he was a scary dude. He was still like 22, around 2150, maybe close to 2200 when he was like 80. And I lost to him. h4, h5. Yeah. This is too strong for black. But black has to know that secret to play b5. Queen a5 is a good move too. He's going to need a pawn break. I'm thinking a3 is an unnecessary move. And another thing you should probably do is bail out and trade queens right about now. You have to realize your king is actually in danger. It's like the, what is it? The 5-step program or whatever? Alcoholics Anonymous. Like, the first problem is accepting that you have a problem. Like, that's the first step, is white accepting the fact that he has a problem here, you know. And if you don't realize you have a problem, the 12th step, thank you, zombie. So if you don't realize you have a problem, you can't solve it. You know, white needs to know that his king is about to get like brutally crushed. So if you have the forethought to realize that, maybe you can play something like knight d5 and just bail out like a chicken before something really bad happens. So knight c6, a3, knight d7. I mean, again, I think that a6, some sort of a6 and b5 seems most expedient. This is slow. This is a good idea. And now if I'm black, I'm going to be tricky and play maybe like queen d8 or something. Smart player with black probably doesn't trade queens here. It's risky, though. I mean, okay, black can trade queens. Black is equal. Oops. Slight error. So he just hung an exchange. Nothing to see here, folks. Ugh, the e4 maybe not necessary. He still has some counterplay. Black is clearly not a bad player, other than the fact that he overlooks exchanges. Looks like black is trying to win. Whoops, another tactical mistake. So it was really just a story of two blunders. I mean, but I think that Warnaki's play, it's creative and fun for like a fast time control. But I wouldn't play that kind of system with white in a long game. The bishop e3 type of stuff looks... Thanks for the eBay. Channeling my eBay channel. My eBay. We had a couple sales lately. I sold the baseball bat. I won't tell you guys that horror story. All right. Astrobate is up. We got to go through. Jeez. How much time we have left? We have half an hour. That was Warnaki. So I've actually got 4 games in 35 minutes. Warnaki, thank you. I knew I was falling behind here. We got 4 games. Whoa, this is today's lesson. Where's your all right, let's just go back here. Go back to messages. Where is Astrobate's? Here. Thursday commentary game submission. I wanted to place my game with Save a Dog, but it was a cheapo hope chess maneuver. He showed me that. I looked at a few I liked and chose Dragon B. Alright, so this is a quick one. Selling a baseball bat to a psycho, generally a bad idea. Wasn't Yogi Berra, but it was close. Older than Yogi Berra. Anyway, you didn't hear the end game. I told you. Oh, no, I did tell the story. All right. Knight c6. Yeah, he said checkmate. He like stalked my... He's like you. He like looks up people's real life identities. He looks up the identity of his eBay sales. And he checkmated me on eBay. All right. You know those people who are like sort of perversely competitive? It's like that. D4. Oh my god, the old school. This is great. Wow. Masturbate playing the old school? I have never seen you do this before, dude. E takes D4, but he played E5 here. I only know the Molar attack. You know, like CD, bishop check, knight C3. You can play the Jinji variation with what, bishop D2, but that's boring. Knight C3, old school. I think you got to play like this, Astrobate. Astrobate played E5. Actually, I know nothing about this. What is this, a transposition? Does this transpose to the 2 knights? Whatever it's called? The fishing pole defense. National Master Brian Wall. No, it's not really the fishing pole, but it just reminded me of something like that. Damn, you have like bishop takes f7 check here? Or can you try that? Just for fun? It's tempting to do this. Jim's Greek friend would have killed me if I did this. Similar sort of mistake to what I did the other day in the Rapid tournament. It is the Max Lang attack. So black's supposed to play d5. Yeah, this is like massive theory. It's actually pretty good for black. Black equalizes at least. There's a lot of ancient theory. My friend Joe, International Master Joe, I don't know if we're going to see him come down lately. Joe was big on this classical stuff. He liked to play this with white. But I think objectively, black is fine in these very old lines. So I still think I like this the best. There's some tricky stuff. It's all been analyzed to death though. So e5, d5. This is weird. Acerbate did bishop takes f7 check. I knew it. I was just suggesting it. I didn't even look ahead at the moves. C3 is already in. This knight g4 is bad. So d5. Yeah. No, this transposes to something else, doesn't it? Bishop b5. This is not a normal Max Lang, right? This is I don't know what you call it. There's some games here, some big games. I just don't know what opening this is. Classical Italian game, Greco Gambit. All right, let's see what happens. So bishop takes f7 check. A little too ambitious. Let's see what Stockfish thinks. King takes f7, knight g5 check, king g8. Oh my god. This was Dragon B. Wow. Poor Dragon B had to like live through this. At least it's not a draw. It's hard to draw Acerbate. I challenge anyone to do that. I've lost to him 3 times, but no draws. It's a great motif. Nice job, Acerbate. Technically, we can play it out the old school style. Play it out till mate in 1. Okay, that was a quick one, so we won't highlight that too much longer. Jim's up next. Mule Skinner and Slow Hand. So Jim, game from yesterday. It's not the Smith-Morra. I have not seen this already. Well, this looks like a tough one. We've got 20 minutes left. I have a little extra time, maybe 5 minutes. I've got to finish around 8 o'clock, but I can go 5 minutes over. D4, knight f6. I want to thank everyone for joining me. It's always fun analyzing. Although it's not like my most popular stream because people see it's like a subscriber-based stream, and I think they maybe think, oh, that's not interesting. So usually our turnout here for viewers is not as much, but I enjoy doing this analysis. Anyway, so knight c3, classy plays. Is this a French guy? Yeah. French master against Jim. Is this a simul? Is this a simul, Jim, or just some game? Apren Chess is raiding with a party of 2. Cheers, thank you for the raid. We've got one of our subscribers here, Jim, playing, also supporters of the stream, playing the black side of, I think, the best and only move, d5. So, I mean, classically speaking, bishop g5 is the main move. White plays instead bishop f4. This is probably seeing a lot more playing time because of people like Yubava, Richard Rapport. I'm really happy you played c5 because I've played this several times, but it's a sharp move. Clearly black can play other moves that are like safer. You could try to play the Slav, you know. Warnacki calls it a positional chess. But I mean, white is playing sharply with c5. This is a risky-ish move, but it's correct. You know? Yeah, Jim, positional. He's become like a tactical maniac. I had a game here on the stream recently, Jim. But I had another game about a year ago where a guy whose account got banned for being a cheater, who had an enormously high bullet rating. I don't remember his name now, but he was like 2,800 in bullet. And he came on my stream and like played me 1 or 2 games. I was like, this is a computer. But it took them forever to ban him. He was like on the best list in bullet for, you know, or close for a while. But this guy, but anyway, he played something tricky like c takes d4, knight b5, and I didn't figure out the refutation. Fonza Curry, no, it was another guy, not Fonza Curry. It was another guy. It was higher rated than Fonza Curry. Fonza Curry wasn't that high rated. This guy was higher. He was like 2,800. He beat me like a child, like a stepchild. But in one game he played this, and it was like blitz, and I didn't know the refutation over the board, so I had this instinct that it wasn't right. Super GM, I think it might have even been before him, although it could have been the same guy, just a different account. That level player, yeah, but anyway, he tried this on me, and I lost like an idiot, you know. But it was the only inaccuracy he made the whole game. It was like something like intentionally doing this incorrect move and then playing with his engine the whole game. But this is something you should look at. Queen a5 check, c3, d takes c3, knight c7 check. Was it knight c7? King d8, b4, queen takes b4, knight takes a8, c2 check, queen d2. Notice Shigaev has a game here. I mean, this is like, I didn't see this far. e5 apparently has even been played. This was a newer game. I had known the other game. So, anyways, it's like a forced draw, some perverse forced draw. Bishop takes e5, queen b1 check. Unfortunately, I didn't know that like over the board, so I ended up like losing. But it's good to know, you know, because somebody could try that on you, and especially in a fast time control, you don't know that it's like a forced draw. It'd be nice if there was a way to play for a win for black, though. So a6 I looked at, and I think that that's like a safe way to play for black. Anyways, Jim just plays e6, and this I thought was a mistake. I have a friend who plays this with white, and he's just like very happy when he gets this. The Sveshnikov knight on b5. I think you're in trouble strategically when this happens. So I just don't really like it. You know, I mean, the engine says it's only slightly better, but it just looks like there's no way you're ever going to get that. This is literally what happened to me against Sveshnikov in a c3 Sicilian. He got that on me, and it was just like, it's there forever. You can never, ever get rid of the knight on b5. You can never get your knight off of a6. It's torturous, you know? So, yeah, I hate this. And poor Jim, like, who likes to play actively, has no way to get a sharp continuation going on here. Very interesting move here that may be theoretically significant. Look at all these games. Carlsen, Karyakin, 2017. If knight h5 is a good move, then this may change the theory on the variation, because that's a standard idea. I mean, this is pretty extreme. Putting one knight on a6 and one on h5. Did they teach you guys not to put your knights on the side of the board? Modern chess. But this could be a serious theoretical improvement. Bishop e5, f6. I was wondering about like g4. It's just too much. My God, this is actually sound? It might actually be sound. But anyways. All right, let's just take a quick look at Jim's game. So knight a6, c3, bishop e7. So look at that. Statistically, d takes c5 has an overwhelming score. You have to take with the bishop. Huangtron has a couple games. She's playing the London system. Very robotic. She's my teammate, actually, last year. So I'm pretty well versed with her. We've played multiple games, and watching her play adjacent, you know, or on another board. She plays sort of robotic stuff in the opening. I don't really like it. Knight f3, let's see, knight e4. This was developmental. Finally a way to get rid of the knight on b5, potentially. I've been beaten by a girl more than once, and I enjoyed it, Bob. But, wow, c4. Yeah, I don't think the Rubinstein would approve necessarily. You're taking pressure off the center, but he's trying to isolate the knight on b5. He wants to play bishop takes d7. Excuse me, takes b5 or something and resolve that, I think. Wow, that is an awkward move. Bishop c6. This guy is like one of the highest rated classical players on lichess. Bishop takes d6. Castles. So he's got a very sort of systematic opening repertoire. Tough opponent for Jim to face, I would think. I don't know, but Jim likes to create chaos, and this guy seems to be anti-chaos. He's like very positional and solid. G5. Just went completely nuts. H5, totally berserk. And finally, white just caved and took on c6. Hey. I mean, it feels like he caved. I mean, he gave up the Sveshnikov knight, you know? But he lost his Sveshnikov knight. Now his other knight on e5. He's got no more knights. What's he going to do with no knights? You're playable. Your position is playable. I got to admit that f6 looks like a strange move, dude. But it's not easy to play. Stockfish says it's equal, but that doesn't mean it's really equal or really easy to play. Bob. Bob, hero worshipper. Queen c2. You just like him because he's good with the girls, Bob. He's a ladies' man. Rook ae1. I'm just kidding, man. Alright, this is crazy now. I've got very little time left. We're going to have to go through 2 more games. It's surprising that white didn't play e5. He's been very patient. There it is. But lock it up. Clearly you're just locking it up. Lock it up. This is actually almost like you're playing for a win with this move. Wow, b4. I feel like I'm playing a computer. I'm not accusing this guy of being a computer, but you know what? I wonder if this player is like a guy who got good by playing a lot of games against computers. I have one of my teammates who's like that. He almost has a style like that feels like he played 800 million games against computers and trained himself that way or something. b4. No, I'm just saying he has a style like that that it's like an anti-computer style almost. Very solid. What that he didn't like pawn moves, okay. Yeah, I mean you blundered ridiculously here. You can't just hang this pawn. So you have to play like queen c7, I guess. The thing got locked up too much. Now you're really losing. Nice job though with knight g3. I mean knight g3 is brilliant. He either gets a knight to e4 and messes with the guy's whole position, or he takes it and he gets mated. I mean, you can't take it and get mated. So you got a knight on e4 now, or actually a rook. What's up with this? Why not rook f2? I don't understand. That's a weird blunder. Like, he's definitely not a computer. I mean, he's afraid of h3 or something crazy. Is that it? Like, no. You can't do h3. I don't get it. Like, why not rook f2? That's really nuts. Yeah, he just blundered. Wait. So this is like bullet? I don't understand, dude. You're like winning the exchange here. And like winning the game. It's a simul. You're just winning. So then he takes the piece. Unfortunately, Jim is hoping for something like takes and g3. This is a fantasy variation. But I don't think it even works. Probably hoping for some kind of fantasy like this somehow working. Yeah. So both sides made like really hideous blunders. Like you could have taken the exchange and then you just lost. It's terrible. Too late now. One last chance for mate. So how does he get out of it? He plays rook a3. That's just mean. He played bishop takes d5. No, computer found that. Why not rook a3? Isn't that just a no-brainer way to win? Just rook a3, rook takes g3. Bishop takes d5 looks scary. Yeah, you're just out of stuff now. Alright, but that was entertaining. I think we learned some stuff from that game. Thanks, Jim, for sharing. Obviously, I don't have that much time left. We got 2 more games to go over. Mule Skinner and Mr. Slow. More or less decent game the other day against stronger player here on lichess, Black. I'm glad that you shared a game there, Jim, that it's an opening that I actually play. That was kind of cool. I like that reverse Chigorin or Verisov. So Mule Skinner trying to get the Benko going on. He does. I know very little about e3. E3 has a very good reputation for white. A lot of theoreticians, David Rigo from Rhode Island, who's a little known player, but he was an IM strength master here in New England for years. He played e3. He was just brutal with this. You know, he would just torture anybody who played the Benko. It was like he would just mangle you. Lukács Péter, who's a Hungarian GM and many times contributor to New in Chess, also specializes in this line. This is one of the top rated lines for white against the Benko, but it's one that I don't particularly know because I never really played it with white, and I don't play the Benko. Okay, so let's see. Bishop takes b5, check, knight c3, bishop b7, knight e2. So immediately, again, I don't know the theory, but immediately white leaves book with bishop c4 here. So the point is Black's threatening knight takes d5, or possibly bishop takes d5. But the theory is knight e2, so you're thinking, what's this about? You know, you're just giving the pawn back. Apparently that's book. Igor Novikov. I was claiming that Novikov was missing, but he appeared suddenly and played in the World Senior Team Championship last year or this year, whenever it was. That was strange. He just disappeared for 10 years from chess and appeared in the American World Senior Team Championship team. At least we know he's still alive, Bob. Okay, so bishop b7, bishop c4. Logical move, right? Keeping the pawn. Who doesn't want to keep a pawn? And then e6. So the point is, this looks like a good move. we're going to conquer the d5 square and maybe break down the long diagonal. So I guess the argument is that it's like a losing battle trying to save this pawn, and you just give it up. All right, so Mule Skinner knows what he's doing. 3 games, 0 for 3 for white. Random Masters. Yulia Horvath. Horvath Yulia. Queen b6. Oh, we just transposed back into something. That's messed up. It's strange that there's only 3 games, yet you have to play a move that trans back into theory. Trans back. It's a new word. Transposes back into theory. But it's apparently a good line for black. e4. Knight takes e4. Aronian. Alright. So we used the engine. We cheated here, but I'm out of my depth in the black side of the e3 Benko. I mean, I need some help here. So Mule Skinner apparently just making a mistake with d takes e. But it's funny that it was played by both Bareyev and the Pomniachi. So you're in good company. This looks like, wow, a huge move. So this totally, you know, lesser known Capasciuti Maurizio guy. I've actually heard of that guy. He's an Italian master. He probably played in Budapest at one point. I don't know. I might have even played him. I don't remember anything anymore. But it's possible I actually played this guy, and I just kind of forgot about it. But it's funny how this is much better. I mean, taking toward the center is much more dynamic in general. If you can play f takes e, I'm playing the Blumenfeld gambit sometimes. You want to take back toward the center with the f pawn, but you got to be careful because obviously your king is, you know, more jeopardized. But these Italian masters here, Orlandi was a known player. He's a good player. I don't know. I mean, it looks kind of scary because black is far behind in development, but I trust the engine here. You know, this looks like it's safer, but way less. So this is huge. F takes e, knight takes e4, bishop takes e4, knight f3, bishop e7, castles. And again, this feels like a Blumenfeld gambit. It's unbelievable that the computer is claiming a plus 1.3 for black. He's not even up any material. Just by sheer nature of the fact that black has this like central pawn majority, it's pretty shocking, you know. I don't know. I'm not surprised it was a draw because white's the stronger player, but that's kind of an exaggerated evaluation. So basically, thanks Gormali. Gormali. Do we call him Gormali or Gormali? I never really knew. I called him Danny Gormali. But I want to say, I hear some people say Gormali. The enunciation is important for Danny's name. If you see him, give him my regards. Give him my regards. Bishop e7. Castles. And that's the end of the game. No, that's the variation. D takes e6, d takes e6, knight takes, bishop takes, knight f3. Ooh, yuck. Wow. Mr. Slowhand, central domination, open lines. Yeah, it's a Blumenfeld gambit, but f3 is a trap. Wow. f3. Damn. You might as well play f3 on the first move if you're going to play this. I mean, that's sick. There's just no reason to do that to your own position. Not a candidate move. I would consider like something crazy, maybe queen g4. Can we try queen g4? Speculative, but interesting, you know. But seriously, f3, awful. I suspect here that maybe Mule Skinner played bishop d5, but I'm not sure that's the only move. Tough decision. I mean, maybe you have some other moves like bishop b7. I don't know. Is this necessarily the best move? Not sure. It's not bad though. All right. Bishop d5. Nice, inducing weaknesses. So knight g3. This guy likes weakening his pawns. He's just down with that. Maybe knight g3 with less weaknesses. But it's close to bishop takes f3 there. But he castles. Oh, okay. Wow. White survived, but the pawn from hell. White survived as far as a tribute to his defensive skill. But knight f4 is going to be a problem, blockading. Guys, thanks for joining me. Thanks for supporting the stream. Jim Dragon B, Asterbate, the rest of you. We're going to be taking off after one more game. I've got to get out of here quick. But it looks like White survived here to an almost okay position. What's next? Rook d8. I'm thinking knight f4. He doesn't do that. What's wrong with knight f4? Is g5 a good move? I mean, it's possible that g5, every time I do that, I lose, but it's possible in some situation that that could be a good move. Mr. Coffee, thanks for being our mod in advance, supporting the stream. 100 bits. Just had another donation from Jim. I don't know. Obviously, black is better due to central pawn and the weak and king side. It just feels like Muleskinner's been a little too conservative of some key moment somewhere. White just keeps hanging on, and he should have been dead already. But it wasn't easy to say where. And I think the closer this gets to the end game, the more that White is okay. He's probably still okay here. Until that. Okay, so that just busted him. Wow. Understandable. He missed the fork, the double fork. Queen c3, losing move. So queen d2, and he's still with us, Bob. After queen d2, he's still with us. But Muleskinner is better. Pass pawn, it's powerful. It would have been a tough game to finish off. But Feugl had a strong pass pawn against Save-A-Dog, and it wasn't enough to win the game. Anyway, so queen c3, and then it's just the exchange, and he resigns. Kind of lucky, but no. Muleskinner had pressure all the way. I didn't like really the way White played the opening. Okay, good job, Muleskinner. Last game for today is Slow, Mr. Slow. We're gonna call him Mr. Slow because his name's too long. That's it. Mr. Slow is Mr. Fast because we're gonna go over this. We have a lesson in 10 minutes, so we've got 7 minutes here. Mr. Slow is... Wait, is Mr. Slow white or black in this game? Let me see again. Where's your message? This game I played over the board. Where's the color? How do I know what color you are? How do we know what color he is, guys? Oh yeah, I got the lesson. You weren't here when I told you to remind me. So he's white. Alright, Severasov. Oh no, Trompowsky. Cool, okay. The one move I hate is knight e4. That was like promoted when I was younger, and it's, I think, the worst variation for black. Alright, so bishop g5, e6. I've played e6. e4 is the main line. There's a ton of theory after e4. Knight f3 is a Tory attack, and I guess e3 is something similar. Is there any way black can do something like h6, g5, and knight e4? G5's too much. This is interesting. I've never seen this e3 played. But it's just going to transpose, right? To kind of quiet Trompowsky / Queen's Indian type setup here. All right. Mr. Coffee. I'm not a huge fan of d6 for black. I think that c5 is more dynamic. You definitely want to play for c5. This is a popular move though. I'm surprised how many players have played d6. Like, what did Karpov do? Nakamura, Karpov. So Karpov, Nakamura, yeah, they played c5. I don't know. d6 is weird for me, but maybe black wants to go g5 and knight h5. The hyper modern. We could call it the Weed Master. This looks like something he read in New Chess, the anti-London system. So g5, knight h5 is a sort of threat here. Yeah. Speaking of bishop g3, Dragon B. So specifically, d6 threatens like g5. Threatens. Trying to practice my Gormley accent now. No. I'm tired. I'm getting loopy. I'm crazy. I'm just having Tourette's syndrome. I'm getting kind of silly. But anyways, it looks like bishop d3. g5. You know, we have this knight h5. Man, that's a problem in every variation. That's the point of d6. Some people have gone as far as to play bishop b5 check. Papa Yanu. Dragoon B, Dragon K, Camille. But all I know is that I would play e4 on move 3. Probably take my chances with that. Let's see what happened. He's grabbing your bishop. It's not the end of the world. Bernd Kohlweiler. Is Kohlweiler. Is it Kohlweiler or Kohlweiler? That's weird. I guess it's spelled correctly. That guy played in the open tournament in Hungary 2 years ago in Zalakaros. This German guy. And he just like left in the middle of the tournament. It's like the most unsportsmanlike thing you can do. After 5 rounds, he wasn't even doing that bad. He just like disappeared. Like he didn't tell the arbiters, he didn't tell the directors, didn't tell anybody. So like somebody just got paired with him and got a free point. You know, it's like ridiculous. Like nobody does that. International master. You just tell them you're gonna leave. I mean, it's simple courtesy. Burned. Anyway, so f5, e4, counterattack. This was creative. I like this. As long as we're not losing a bishop. He's going e5. This is the idea. It's a sort of Simon Williams-esque concept. Well, there's 2 ideas. There's that idea and there's that idea. Black's the one that asked for it with f5, though. You know, there was no reason to play f5. He has totally reasonable chances with knight takes g3, or even like, you know, whatever, like going back to g7 if it came to that. But I think he should just, yeah, the way that the dropout played here, bishop g7 with knight takes g3 whenever you want. You know, this is just ridiculous. So f5 was risky. I like the way that slow hand went for this, though. King f7. The refutation. The refutation of chess. Now do we have nice try, pawn takes pawn with some sort of knight e5 check? Or are we losing a piece? I'm confused. Are you guys confused? I have to go. Wow, this is a cool idea. Beautiful. We found a solution. And that's fine. I mean, as long as we get a piece to g6, we're good here. So we found a solution. It looks sound, actually. Yep. Is there a stronger move? Well, I was interested in taking here, but I wasn't sure about it. Your move is much more simple. You know, knight h4, you don't really have to calculate that much. You know your knight is safe. You're not going to lose a piece. And this is just beautiful. I mean, you are actually losing a piece here, but the black king looks Actually, you could just sack here on f4. That's probably a lot of compensation. h4 is interesting. This is a tough game to analyze for our last game. I wish I had more time because it's kind of complicated. But you got to believe that white has compensation for the sacrificed piece here. It's still there, actually, ironically. Wow. What the... Why can't he take your knight on G? Oh, because you take on G8. My God. Wow. Because I was thinking he could play King G6. You have to play this. Ouch. And then this. Ouch. And then this. Ouch. That's a beautiful finish. Let me turn on the engine because I wasn't sure. H4. Yeah, so your attack is just extremely strong. All the way. I blame Black's loss on f5 though. I mean, I just don't see any reason why Black needs to play f5 here. This is just like greedy. And he has perfectly good opening. I like this. Bishop g7. The way that Kolbeyer played it, Kolbeyer, whatever his name is. The dropper Alder of tournaments. Yeah, this is fine. Alright guys, I gotta go. Thank you for the game. Nice victory there. At the end of the game, you guys saw Queen f7 check. It's made in 2. Great game. Interesting opening, but I prefer e4 on move 3. I don't know what you think. It's a little bit more dynamic here to play e4. It's okay to give up your bishop. There's a lot of cool kind of attacking lines. Anyway, guys, I'm out of here. Thanks for joining me. I'll be back tomorrow, Friday, 5:30, with game analysis, with Blitz. It's Fast Friday, 5+3, casual chess with everybody. Take care. Have a great night. Bye-bye. Later, guys.